Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. In the wake of COVID-19, one thing that has emerged very clearly that every company needs to be a tech company, whether shifting to remote working or spike in the online demand or increased cyber assaults that companies are facing today. There is an urgency for most of the organizations to transform themselves, modernize their businesses using technology, and companies are really pursuing larger transformations than they had initially thought of, and which also includes initiatives like digitizing the end user experience, scaling data and analytics, modernizing the infrastructure, cybersecurity transformation, redesigning the IT operating model, or relooking at the talent strategy itself, right? So today we're going to be having an interesting session around how technology is reshaping some of these industries, right? I'm accompanied by eminent panelists from different companies, different industries, different geographies too, even, right? So we'll have conversations around how technology has really pushed their organizations or their industries in last couple of years, and really made the change to the business, right? So let me quickly jump in into the conversation. Let me start with you, Umeshi. You come from the insurance, and you've really seen insurance obviously leverages technology to a large extent, right? So, in what stage of digitization is your industry in Sri Lanka, and how are you leveraging technology in your organization for business transformation?
Thanks, Harnath. Good morning, everyone. Like any other industry, even our industry, insurance, is not immune to external pressure to evolve, right? As Harnath mentioned earlier, there are multiple new emerging technologies which are having an impact in almost every single industry. So similarly, even for robust and process-driven industry like insurance, we can't, stay without evolving. If you look at the Sri Lanka insurance landscape, in the recent history at least, we've seen digitization obviously getting accelerated by COVID. But even before COVID, I believe we had started getting onto that journey, at least as far as AIA Sri Lanka is concerned, back in 2019 or late 18. We've already started our cloud journey and setting up all our foundational services to make sure that we enable customers to do self-service rather than depending on humans. So this actually helped when COVID-19 hit Sri Lanka in general. At that point, we obviously didn't know what a lockdown or a curfew would mean to our customers as well as our staff. So in that sense, whatever we certain technologies that we deployed during COVID-19, we've managed to industrialize most of them and evolve and enable customers to do self-service as well as make us easily accessible, unlike how it was before, Hana.
Sure. Thanks, Amishi. I think one important point that you bring out is, I think organizations were on the transformation journey, and I think it was all about being prepared. So I think from a cloud perspective, I think you already started the journey, and that really helped primarily whenever you had to touch base with customers. So so Shamal, from your point of view, banking again is a very heavy user of technology. How is your industry in Bangladesh is really leveraging tech, right? And are you seeing any transformation leveraging tech, especially in last 2 years? Have you really seen any big transformation from a business model itself perspective?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and I really appreciate for inviting me to talk with all these esteemed analysts here. First of all, banking has been a heavy user of technology, as you mentioned, Mr. Babu. Uh, but I would say in this way that why we used to struggle, in terms of transformation or budgeting or even the planning or strategy in terms of technology in banking, it used to be difficult because the board, they're always very concerned about cost, even though some of the advanced thinking board or even the management, they understood the benefits of technology by looking or copying the banks in India or in Southeast Asia, some of the banks, So if you really see in Bangladesh, we have, for such a small country, we have close to 60 banks. And if you really see in the 60 banks, about 5 to 10 who are really concerned about automation. I will go into digitalization a bit later. First, let me talk about automation. That's still a challenge. So, but the rest of the 50, if you see, either they are semi-automated, some are still in manual or something like that. So what happened is because, the forward thinkingness or the focus to the technology was very minimal because everybody thinks or used to think that IT has been a cost center. But what happened with the COVID? The COVID has, I think, opened everybody's eyes because if you talk about a solution for business, so we used to go through a whole process of getting the approval. What business wants, how IT looks at it, go for RFP, blah blah blah, and it takes 3 months to really get the approval. I mean, I would say not 3 months, let's say 1 month, and the solution to get it done in 3-4 months. Then what happened with COVID? Did COVID teach us that by leveraging technology in 10, 15 days or 20 days, we can really bring a lot of business proposition? Yes. All these things were not considered by board or management when it came to the demand of the customer. Why the demand of the customer? If you really see what happened in banking, if you see, we had siloed thinking of digital and branch banking. I hope you all understand that, right? You as a customer, what you really wanted, right? You say, I want solution. But as a bank, I used to think, okay, retail banking, let's do this solution. We never thought how retail can be connected to back of the operation, how that can affect the technology team and many other things. Because you know why? Now digital means what? You want solution in click of a button, right? You say, I want my account to be opened in less than I would say in Bangladesh 10 minutes. Maybe many countries are done in 1-2 minutes. Okay. So for us, even it's now 3 to 5 minutes through EQIC. So now we started thinking how to do integrated banking. This the thought wasn't there. So you can see with that thought how technology got merged and that brought in the value in the business in banking. As I said, that we used to think about broken customer journeys, but what digital has taught us. Broken customer journey means you bring in front end solution, but you forget that the front end solution, when you click it, it comes as a process to the back, but we forgot to automate the back. So what happened? There is a broken link between the solutions. So it's because, we never used to think. We used to think like, okay, automation, fine. Or I used to get approval for the front end, but not for the back end. Why do you need back end? I have 200, 300, 400 people at the back end. Why do you need to automate back end? Right? Managing the people. So that thought has come into a digital journeys. So you can see how technology, policy, approval method, board, management all started working together. We used to think about product-centric digital development, as I said, an app. But you know what? Now that doesn't work. With the new technology, it says we need to do customer-centric intelligent transformation. So what the customer want and how we need to transform, those have come into the scene. So it's not only the technology, it's again, see, if you tell me digital technology, it was always there, but we never seen it. Because we have always, because with the revolution of the industrial revolution, 4IR and all these things, these words have come. But isn't it where there? It was there. But we have called it automation. But digital transformation is what? Everything in clicks. Everything click means we have to go for more customer-centric intelligent transformation. Mr. Babu, I think I have a bit of time, right? I want to just explain a bit in the next 2 3 minutes.
I think, Shyamol, I think very interesting points. We will cover this.
Okay. Okay. So, and then we thought, we used to think about risk management, frameworks based on credit scoring and all this thing. What came? Data-centric risk management. Why data-centric? Because now we are talking about digital. What is digital? How is it driven? It's driven by data. We always had the data, but we never thought about it. That this data within an organization can bring so much value for you. If you look at everybody, yeah, sorry.
I think, Shyamol, I think very interesting point. And I think the most important aspect that you brought out was the whole mindset shift or change. Right?
Yes.
I think from a siloed approach to an integrated approach is one. And while we're talking about instant gratification for customers, right? You talked about 10 minutes buying, open an account in 10 minutes. We have in the country, in India at least, I know that within a couple of minutes you can open a bank account, right? And it's very seamless. Right, so I'm sure the whole idea of to your point, from a product centric approach, you're moving to services centric or customer centric approach. I think that's a big shift that we're seeing. And again, all these transformations are leveraging technology. Let me quickly jump to Asikul, right? Asikul, you've been onto the. I mean, obviously, you've been leading an organization called PureShop.com. Do you want to talk about how you're leveraging tech in your business, especially in the current context?
Thank you so much. So PureShop is a B2B marketplace app that empower retailers by connecting suppliers. And we're trying to fix the fragmented in supply chain in micro merchant area. In Bangladesh, there are 4.5 million micro merchant across the country, and every year 48,000 micro merchant added in this space, and they are contributing almost 30% of our total GDP. So they're actually valuable in our society and our GMB and everything, but still they are stuck in the same place for lack of technology adaptation. After COVID, we actually experienced that they're very much in adoption and technology, and now we are offering technology solution for them by connecting the suppliers. You'll be surprised to know that we started July 2021, and by 8 months we jumped 10x growth in GMP and 30x growth in orders. That means they are very much now interested to adopt new technology because it's helpful for them. It's improved their efficiency level, improved their fragmented solutions. So also suppliers adopt our solution because supplier get cost-effective communication with retailers and improve their performance as well. So technology after COVID actually accelerated the total ecosystems. Now it's built a seamless solution end to end, micro merchant to brands to platforms. So last couple of months we experienced that in every sector in our ecosystem, that means big brand to distributors, wholesalers, retailers, everyone now connected with technology. So there's a great experience in the last couple of months. We strongly believe in data-driven solution in coming days. We are going to offer buy now pay later option as well. We also are tracking their actually credit scoring, and we're trying to help the financial institute get the non-banking performance data. So, for example, in micro merchant arena, most of micro merchant actually non-banked. They don't have any single bank account. They have maybe digital financial service like Nogod and Bcash, others mobile financial service, but they don't have any bank account. So if they want to scale up, they don't get bank financing. So now we are trying to provide credit scoring solution for them. So bank will get the financial data from us. So it's completely end-to-end technology solution. So we strongly believe technology will help us in every sector and build a perfect ecosystem for everyone.
Sure. Thanks, Asikul. I think a couple of interesting points that you brought out. One is obviously it's a new business model that is emerging very fast. I think it's a marketplace, and certainly bringing in a section of the society or section of the commercial aspect that you're trying to bring in on technology. So I think certainly, and I'll just hold on to this point of though I mean I would still call you the disruptor in the market, right? And to Shyamol's earlier point around value of data and risk management, I think these are the points that I just want to hold on for the discussion further. But let me quickly come to you, Rohit. And again, you've heard the rest of the panelists around how technology is transforming their industries. What and again, if you look at from an OEM point of view, right? I think one of the important agenda for OEMs today is to continue to innovate, right? I mean, while they have to continue to innovate, they also have to help customers like these who just heard to bring in the innovation in their business models. So how is Lenovo working in this area? How are you really coping up with the both the accelerations that you're looking at?
Hi, Harnath and team. Good morning, and I hope I'm audible. So thank you for having me over. Yeah, I guess Harnath, you brought it up in your opening, paragraph of organizations had been in some sort of a phase of the digital journey, and I think while all organizations were in some kind of a preparedness, I don't think anyone was really prepared with something of the magnitude of a COVID and the lockdowns. Now, as a global technology player, in the IT hardware side, we are the number one PC company in the world, and with our to enable the digital transformation, not just for our customers, but even for our own employees and our partners. Now, uh, you know, if I was to give you a quick few, how the situation involved, and we believe that digitization or the digital journey is not a single journey. It's not a single outcome. It's something which will keep evolving, and organization will keep moving up the value chain. Keeping in mind who are the customers they serve, what's the market that they work in, and what's the outcome that they look at. Now, when COVID hit, which is about 2 years back, I think one of the first impacts or one of the first uh, quick examples or early examples that we saw were about how do organizations maintain business continuity, right? And this kind of entailed, from a contact center point of view, how do you move all those IT endpoints to employee houses and so on and so forth. So that was something that we saw at the early stages. We then quickly saw that evolve in terms of how do you enable the work from home or the work from anywhere environment. That quickly then evolved to saying, while this work from anywhere is happening, how do you ensure security is maintained? There's data sovereignty that's maintained, and you mentioned about cyber attacks, right? And these are exactly the kind of journeys that we saw, and we've been working with our customers across the board, both in India and Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, in trying to solve some of these problems by being that dependable partner where organizations can focus on their core objectives. And, Shamal very, very nicely brought about the evolving business pattern that they had to deal with, which kind of required maybe more of, their own times and leave some of the IT management or the device management or the day-to-day repetitive task management to dependable partner like us. And for example, in KIT, which is in the Kalinga Industrial Institute based in Northeast, covering about 30,000 students across multiple campuses, their need was to ensure that education is uninterrupted. And you'll be surprised in one of the our recent conversation with the Honorable Vice Chancellor, they actually moved from this online module to a hybrid module in one day, right? And we partnered with them in enabling that journey. How do you ensure devices are given in a ready to use state to the students? How do you ensure that attendance through those multiple conferencing solutions is then moved a notch up to attention, right? With Grow, we did something very similar, and we actually helped manage and maintain the entire IT infrastructure for them while the company, the organization could focus on their core objectives. So that's the role and that's the play that we've been doing, Harnath. Back to you.
Thanks, Rohit. I think interesting point around how you're really enabling your customers, especially in the current environment, and as most of the organizations have swallowed the pill of saying that there is a future of hybrid work environment, right? So, Sifat, just quickly coming to you, what's been the technology adoption in your industry, especially you come from multiple, I think, businesses. You belong to that group. How is it really being managed across all the entities within the group? And are you seeing somewhat similar of what the other panelists have just mentioned? And do you also concur with the inputs that Rohit has just shared around the changing trends from a workforce perspective?
Thank you so much, and it's a really pleasure. I hope everyone sitting in front of this screen is in a very good health and in a safe environment. The topic that we are talking today is how this digital transformation and the business of this IT is reshaping everything. So it's really very interesting. And for the few couple of years, I'm keenly monitoring that how the things are really changing or interacting. Actually, in every sector, I would say not only the IT sector, any industrial sector, even non-IT sectors are also very much impactful after the COVID. And if I'm saying that for Bangladesh as a nation, they are also investing lots of amount for the digital liberations. Our government are also investing into the digital park, also few new, advancement IT technologies. So there is no other way that the corporate institutes are also not adapting them with the IT solutions, right? Otherwise, they will be falling behind into the race. So likewise, I can give you some example that when my company was working onto the digital signature, very recently we have adopting that so that we can accommodate all the employees to approve the documents from anywhere of the globe, and the people don't need to wait for the approval of the document. So we already have break that difficulties. So whenever we are going to implement that, we found that the government has also given the thought that how they will ensure that those digital signature documents are really valid and it can be placed into the court for any future dispute. So the reason I'm saying that this digitalization not only reshaping the corporate industry, it also giving the thought or open up the window to other sector which is also impacting, right? Likewise, Mr. Shyamol, what they mentioned that okay, few most of the bank in our country are thinking very differently. Probably they are just response lately. To be honest, there is no chance because recently we are also trying to automate our complete payment solutions. I mean, whenever we will be processing any invoice, we expect that it will be going to the financial institute directly, and the financial institute will be making the payment to the vendor on behalf of us, and the collection of the customers all needs to be done immediately and automatically. So we are pushing, as a corporate, we are pushing the financial institute to get updated with the technological advancement, right? So there already an ecosystem has been developed. There is no chance that okay, fine, I am adapting myself or advancing my industry with the technology, but you will be sitting behind. Sorry, you will be falling into the behind. To be honest, as a country, we are moving now and we are competing globally. Every industry is giving a deep thought about the technology, right? Now the IT strategy also been changed. Previously, we are thinking about only the data center or the manpower, how to manage this data center. Now, completely after coming the cloud solution, the thought process has been changed. The machine learning, AI, with those we can now play more wisely with the data. Previously, we are only happy to implement the ERP solution. Like Bashundhara Group, we already implemented the SAP since 2010. But now we become more hunger that only ERP is not enough. Now I need to play with the data. So we welcoming the business intelligence, that how effectively and how promptly we can make the decisions and effective decisions, right? So the changes are really having very fast, and yeah, I'm really blessed that we are now in a generation where the government and all the technological big leaders are really supporting to bring some innovations. I would also like to mention few other things that in banking sector also they already have developed many mobile apps with that the customers and consumers can get the informations and the services within a fingertips.
Yeah,
really.
Sifat, I think you are bringing out a very important point here. There is an interdependency on the services that are being given by different organizations, and they are forcing each other to transform for sure, right? So a
Exactly.
customer is forcing a bank, and a bank is forcing its supplier, and a supplier is forcing, let's say, further its own suppliers or its own ecosystem. So I think certainly we are getting intertwined, in a more complex way, and the dependency obviously is forcing us to transform. And the important point that you also brought out is, I think some of the other panelists also have said that the IT delivery model itself is changing, right? So from the conventional thinking of managing the data center, it has moved to the cloud. Basically, cloudification is getting and data. I think Shyamol did mention about data and analytics being used very efficiently. So let me quickly jump to the next question. And again, just holding on to these points. There are three changing dynamics that we're looking at majorly, right? One is obviously the changing workforce. I think Rohit did mention about that. There's faster moving ecosystem of customers and suppliers. I think you did talk about it, right? And there is a digital disruptor. Asikul did give example of that. So and some of these three dimensions, or in fact all these three dimensions, are impacting every organization that we are dealing with. So quickly coming to you, uh, 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 Umeshi, how uh, how are you experiencing these three dimensions impacting your organization or your industry?
Um, yeah, Harnath. So, similar to what some of the other speakers also mentioned, especially I would say the skill transformation is having an impact on our organization. As we evolved from pre-COVID to post-COVID, what we've realized is we can't do business the same way that we used to, at least not 100%, right? How the customers interact with us has changed, how our wealth planners or agents sell insurance has changed, and we can't have stagnant teams anymore. We have to be more agile, right? Along with that, how we usually use technology in this entire process has also evolved. So one of the challenges that we had was, Harnath, initially, at least from a sales point of view, was how our wealth planners or agents would increase the adoption of technology and the tools that we give. See, as a from an IT point of view, we can provide enough and more tools, right? But what if the business is not using it? And then how do we increase adoption? Those are the challenges that we initially faced. So what we did was
Transformation and service
obviously,
would be the
at
forefront.
least in the case of our
Operational
organization, we
excellence,
have
as for
good
any
business
other
IT
organization,
alignment,
Lenovo too
and
strives to
we
be
obviously work
excellent.
with the business to make sure that we support
What does
them.
this
So
smarter
we would be
technology
a
for all
typical,
works? Okay,
data center
smarter
management,
technology for all
old
works in
IT
various
role per
sectors.
se. We are more
Actually,
of an
I would not be
engaging
wrong if I
partner
say that it works
to the
across
business.
any industry
So
that we are
what we
talking
initially
of.
did
To
was,
give you a few examples,
while
smarter
we
manufacturing.
started
Okay, here
upskilling
our clients are
some of our
using Lenovo
employees
big
where
data
required,
services to
we also
forecast
provided
market
them with
demand. In the
self-learning
manufacturing, for
online
example, the
options.
biggest
In fact, we even give them options to LinkedIn training, so that while we keep
existing
training
process,
them
decision
on
making
the
mechanism.
different solutions that we provided them, they
The
could
first decade,
also
94 to 2
do self-learning
supply
on
chain
soft
is
skills.
how
So in
accurately
that sense, both of these
cancer research.
streams gelled well, and we saw
Every
an increase in
individual
adoption quite rapidly, Harnath.
tablet
No, I think you're right. I mean, see, at the end
to the
of the
student
day, even
under
though
the
you want to
UGC
push
student
technology, you need to
program.
have a buy-in from the
We are very
business.
strong in the telecom,
So,
BSNL,
Shaman,
and
quickly
health
coming to
sector,
you,
and
are
we
you
have
seeing
supplied
a similar kind of
thousands of
challenge
PCs
in
and
your organization
tablets
as
to
well,
the
where
industry.
you're dealing with workforce
Again,
and
Sri Lanka, we have a very
the
strong
ecosystem
channel
of customers and
fraternity,
suppliers
Avans, Soft
certainly
Logic,
impacting the
IT
banking
Gallery, Thakral,
business, and
Sumati,
also the
Fortune,
disruption, right?
Spectrum.
And we're talking about Asikul. I mean, he's coming up with a marketplace where it will turn up to eventually will become a, let's say, a fintech, right, for a period of time, trying to support the financial needs of the MSME segment. So how are you really coping up with these challenges in your organization?
Well, Babu, thank you. I wouldn't say these are challenges. I would say for tech people like us who believes in transforming an organization, these are great opportunities. When the workforces, I think Umesha has mentioned it. It used to be a challenge bringing solution and then feeding it to them. Now they chase us actually because
We at
these two
Lenovo
years
will double our R&D
has
investment in the
actually
next three
pushed
years
any
so that
organization.
we bring out
I
the
would say
latest
few
technology
years. I
first
mean,
to the
I would say at least
customers
4 5
and
years ahead in
departments.
terms of technology. So now what happens? If
Let's
you
talk
talk about
about
the
Lenovo's
workforce,
history and record of
before it used to be,
innovations.
we used to
Okay,
interact with them on
since
site. Now
1984,
everybody tells me years. I mean,
that's
can
the
I do
beginning of
remotely? Can I
Lenovo
work
in
remotely?
China,
Can
where we
I get this
started
solution
making PCs
remotely?
for the China
Hey, I
market.
am sick.
And today, we
While
are
I
one
was
of
in
the
COVID,
world's
my productivity
largest
was high
technology company.
because I could even been
And
at home. I
this
could work. Now I'm sick. I don't want to lose that opportunity. Can you connect me? So you can see with the tech development, with COVID, now we are thinking of hybrid work environment. We used to be always on site. Then COVID taught us remote. Now, with COVID gone or COVID slightly remaining at the end of it, we are still thinking of a hybrid workforce, kind of thinking. So, which means before we used to really train people. Now we don't need to train. They get themselves trained going onto the Google or something and what others are doing. And then they come back to us and says, can you do this for us? It's very interesting for us because in banking we have certain operations like trade finance, LC opening, or treasury, or even call center. Would you believe that we have remotely given everybody access from their home? Of course, with all kind of secure collaboration, because we now must not forget whenever we try to bring this technology, the security is the paramount of all this. If we forget about security, we, the remote situation can turn into a very, very dangerous situation for us. Now, coming to customer and supplier ecosystem. See, we used to think that, oh, there are new players coming. Let's play with what will they do? Okay, fine. I'm a bank. I've got multi-million dollar in my, vault. What they can do? Fintech. Oh, they depend on the aids. But suddenly we saw there is competition between ecosystem because I become ecosystem and they build their ecosystem equally with the same level of customers. So you can understand what's happening. Now it's no more, you play, I play. It's an ecosystem. Either we evolve in the ecosystem as partners or we, dissolve. That is what I am saying. So going back to your question, Mr. Babu, that we are really in terms of, I don't see as a challenge. I see this as opportunities. And I believe technology is helping us to really converge into the fintech, banking, or even
there
workforce
is some
management in many
customized
other ways
IoT will
that we
generate
can
data.
really appreciate. That's all is from my end.
So, Shyamol, I think great point. In fact, I really like the point that it's an opportunity than a challenge. And certainly, I think the idea is to evolve in the ecosystem rather than competing with each other. I think it won't really work, right? Beyond a point. So let me quickly shift the gears to tech, right? So, Rohit, I think new technologies obviously are continuing to hit the market, right? And obviously, there are a lot of promises that each technology brings out. And so, as let's say Lenovo also comes out with many technology offerings for customers, but some of them tend to remain as shiny objects, right, with very limited value. So, are you seeing a similar challenge that are we trying to really rush towards technology? It's always aspirational, right? But I mean, you want to try out a new tech and you want to invest, but I mean, it may not be necessary that it will become successful, right? So, what are your thoughts around it, and how are you really helping your clients to ensure that they're not really, investing their time unnecessarily on something which could be a shiny object? To my point.
Yeah, Harnath, before that, I just want to make that one point to the earlier question that you had, and we spoke about, technology and how we're dealing with it. So while we all ensure that business continuity is maintained, in this work from home or in this new way of working, I think we also realize that one of the challenges that we have to deal with is on the human side, the employee side, right? We've all been used to these face-to-face interactions, and look at it. Today's example, I don't think 2.5 years back we ever imagined that we will have a panel discussion because we've all been I would say victims of our own thinking. And at Lenovo, we actually while business had to be maintained, we actually also came back with softer elements like how do we ensure employees are not working all through the day, because you just get so habituated to kind of get ping each other on Teams, get calls, get into meetings, set up those review calls. So we then mandated lunch times, that nobody in the organization can fix calls between that 1 to 2. We mandated things like on a Wednesday morning there will be no reviews. So the first half of Wednesday, each employee is actually left to himself, where he could do his own thinking. We will not have reviews on Monday, so that employees don't have to work over the weekend. So those are some of the things that we also did, besides enabling our customers. And I believe in this digital transformation, this was also extremely important element. Coming back to your point, uh, I think it's given that technology will keep evolving, and there could be a few, which could remain as those shining elements. Uh, but I don't think that deters us, and I don't think it will deter us. We are amongst the top 10 of the world's most admired organization. And I think one of the reasons we are there is because we believe in constantly investing in our R&D. In fact, I would say that across the OEMs, we've got one of the most massive budgets that we deploy for R&D, and the year to come, that's expected to go up 3 times, because we believe that if we want to remain as the dependable partners for our customers, we will have to be ahead of the curve. There are quite a lot of things that we are doing. Some of these could be in the incubation phase. We are heavily invested in enabling smart retail for our customers. How do you ensure touchless experience at retail stores? We've been working very, very closely in the education space. In fact, both in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, we've got some fairly, I would say, marquee customers on our side. But we've been working very, very closely on the education side, under smart education, where we are trying to, kind of travel this journey with the students and the teachers on ensuring effective education. Right? We all could get logged on to a Teams call, but still be mentally distracted. Or how do you ensure that you do online education exams and stuff like that? So those are some of the things. We also have been building, so like we've got Moli, which is our own, a services bot that's in 10 languages, already deployed in about 60 markets. We've got Labs, which is a Lenovo advanced production scheduling system, to help cater to the increasing demand. Now, it's just not something that's helped us cater to the increasing demand, but it also helped us reduce our energy consumption, so much so that if I remember my numbers right, it's helped us reduce our carbon offset by almost 16,000 tons, which is like 4.7 million production cars. So those are some of the things. I believe that the way technology is evolving, you will have to constantly keep upgrading yourself. We now talking about Meta, we talking about virtual marriages. Maybe very soon we'll be having virtual picnics. I don't know. So clearly, and some of these things will come and fade away. I think we, as leaders in this industry, we'll all have to be matured enough to realize that not everything will stick forever.
But I think very right, Rohit. In fact, I think it's important to continue to experiment and see what really longs. Because one of the things that I have learned over a period of time, anything that customers like, that sticks for longer. So you shouldn't be really shying away from trying out things. So great approach, and in fact, the important point that he brought out was, I think, more than customers, I think companies have also started figuring out how to keep employees happy, right? The whole employee-centric approach that people are trying to take. So, Asikul, let me quickly shift to you. You've been, obviously, you run a business. You have to look at customer as one of the key priorities, but also look at technology, especially from an innovation perspective. So, have you encountered any specific challenges related to, to what Rohit said, right? Continue to experiment, and I'm sure you must be experimenting with different technologies. So you have any experience in that space, Asikul?
Yeah, recently we're facing some challenges for hiring part, because after COVID, everywhere actually tech people now demanding. So retaining tech people and new hiring is the biggest challenge right now across the world. Actually, tech people demand now is too high. On the other hand, a new trained people is very low. So that is the biggest challenge I think right now. And education part, actually, COVID already accelerated it. So everyone now, new users, new partners, everyone now in technology arena, but challenging to reshape your business organizations because talent is now limited. I think talent is required. I need more training and more emphasis in these sectors.
I think great point you bring out. I think skill, any transformation that you want to do, the only, or I would say one of the key recipe or ingredient to a successful transformation is skill sets. And I'm sure this is one of the biggest challenge for most of the organizations today. So, Sifat, let me just quickly come to you. Uh, are you facing challenges related to skill sets for your transformation journey, or you think you're fairly comfortable?
Um, to be honest, the challenges, I would say in a different way, that whenever I am bringing any technological change for the corporates, you have to understand that the total number of employees in my group is more than 50,000. So obviously, whenever I'm offering anything new or to bring any change management, the first obstacles we are facing that to adopt those technologies. So this is one of the major challenges. But for that, I am very much blessed because our all the IT strategies are very much supported by the top management, and they are pushing it from the top. So it is very much important. When the stakeholders and the sponsors are very excited with the changes, then it will become easier for the other people. So we are just arranging all kinds of communications and to motivate the people to adopt all those things. And challenges, few other external challenges like, yes, that I already mentioned earlier. Probably I had a wish or I have a plan, innovation plan that I want to reshape my service or to introduce something automated solutions. But for that, I cannot find a right partner or the solution integrator on that particular time. I had to wait for someone from the very long distance or some. It's not very much easy to get it within a very short time. So that is one thing I'm very much suffering for the last 1 year. That I have lots of ideas, lots of things to do in future, but locally we are not finding available resources very quickly. This is one of the other challenges I'm facing recently. Over to you.
So, thanks, Sifat. I think uh, you're not alone in the journey. So,
Fingers crossed.
So how are you coping up with the skill issue? I mean, do you have a strategy to manage? Because I think transformation cannot stop. So I'm sure you would have some strategy to manage that the demand. So how are you dealing with this?
Over to me.
No, Shyamol. Shyamol, the question is
Ah,
to you.
sorry, you asked me the question. I couldn't hear that bit probably. You mentioned about the new technologies, right, Mr. Babu?
No, no, Shyamol, the question was how are you really managing the challenges related to skill sets? And as I said that the transformation journey cannot stop, right? You have to continue to innovate, and you need to have people to do that. So how are you
Yeah.
managing that specific thing?
Okay. One of the most important part is, as I told you, that during before IT used to, when you used to look for the IT people or to the management, it was been a very difficult task to get new people because they used to, because everybody was focused on business and revenue, so they very few people has the understanding that how IT really converts or helps or supplements the business to turn into better revenue. Okay. So as a result, the people used to get recruitment for mostly, I'm coming to the skill set, mostly for business and other things, but IT skill people, very, very difficult to get the people on board. Then now what happened? Now the boards or the management says, anybody you take in business or any other area, please ensure they know IT. So you can see the skill set, how it has shifted from IT to business also. So as a result, In IT, we automatically got the skill set recruitment policy and all. But what we do usually for a transformation process, see, you can either get regular IT people, build a skill set, or you can just on an ad hoc basis or outsource. Usually in our organization, I would say about an example organization, we usually follow a hybrid model. What is a hybrid model? Ideally, for everything, we don't really recruit people or build a skill set. We believe in the ecosystem. I told you that ecosystem is getting built. See, if I want to give a nano loan or micro loan, if you say that I want to build a skill set within myself and they didn't really go to the market, I will fail because I have to recruit hundreds of people with the knowledge of credit, with the knowledge of business, with the knowledge of going operation, going to the market, many other things. Of course, the technology background. What do? We partner with the fintechs, partner with the who are there. So what I'm trying to say, we build the skill set in a very very mixed manner, where let's say if I want to go for a solution, I go to the market and I say, hey, we're gonna do this. Can two or four people really work with me? Let them come to my organization, sit here, together we develop the solution. What happens? I transfer the knowledge to my people of not that whole transformation knowledge, but the knowledge to manage it on a day-to-day basis. You understand? Because now, if I want to really create a complete team, you know the cost of creating the team. So we really don't do. So in terms of skill set, we use a very hybrid model. But for the transformation, what we have done, we have created few leaders because then they need to lead the transformation in terms of technology, revenue, and all. I want to finish with one line that digital transformation, most people think is technology. Technology is the last thing to decide. Technology only will supplement or help. The first thing is to create people mindset and create this skill set. Once the skill set is ready, you can jump into the transformation. Before creating this skill set, if you jump into the transformation, I can assure you we all fail. One more thing we need to do. Once you create this skill set, you ensure that you do in digital transformation, we call it fail fast. Means you fail quickly, learn, and then you get up again and go. And at the same time, your skill set gets built. So with such skill set, you create a 3 to 5 years transformation plan because we remember we all are leapfrogging now. We are not jumping anymore. We are leapfrogging. Means we are learning and we are jumping from either our neighboring country like India or Southeast in China or many other countries. So we are learning and we are leapfrogging. So skill set, if we try to build and jump, it's a long process. So
Yeah.
please get into a more hybrids this thing of sharing the skill sets. Thank
So
you.
thanks, Shamal. I think very interesting point. I know we are already on top of the hour, but very good point that I think only build the leadership, try to leverage the ecosystem to ensure that you're not really, trying to build everything and then get onto the journey. It's just not possible. So I think a great, I would say, input for Rohit. I think it's all about having the right partnerships, and I'm sure many of the organizations which are providing services, it's a great news for most of them, right? So gentlemen, I think as I said, we are already on top of the hour, but thanks a lot for all your inputs. Just to summarize some of the points that you mentioned, as far as it's all about building the right kind of experience for customers, it's all about customer centricity. We are talking about not siloed approach, but we are talking about interdependent ecosystem which has to develop together, right? Rohit, great points around enabling work and remote working. I think that's the future. We're talking about hybrid work environment and all about work-life balance for employees, right? And certainly there is a necessity of skill sets as we transform in for future, as we try to bring in more technologies. I think there is a necessity of skill sets and necessity to also experiment with technologies rather than trying to wait and watch. I think great inputs. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, and I'm sure if the audience could pay attention throughout the session, I'm sure they would have learned a lot of things today. Thanks again to all of
Yeah,
you.
Harnath, I just had that one last point, and forgive me if it sounds like a sales pitch, but look, we actually operate across the geographies that you just mentioned, and in multiple conversation, I think Shyamol brought up the point that India probably has a couple of things more advanced, and we heard about how India become there for that example or to emulate or whatever. My only submission is that with Lenovo we actually have our business operations in all the regions. So please feel free to dip into us. We'd be very happy to be that partner for you in your transformation journey and ensuring device uptime at the same time. My apologies again if it sounds like a sales pitch, but I just want to leave it on the table because it's so important for the CIO who's now on the board, on the center table, to keep the lights burning and at the same time drive transformation. So if there's any role that we can play, we'll be very, very happy.
Sure. Thank you, Rohit. I think important point, and I'm sure many of the audiences as well as the panelists will definitely benefit out of what you just said. So thanks a lot, gentlemen, again, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.